My name is Giuseppe Salamanna.
My name is Claudia Hagedorn.
With Claudia and another theorist colleague from Rome, we came up with the idea of submitting this proposal for a school in the series Theory Meets Experiment at GGI, based on what I do for a living, which is to look for very rare, if at all existing, process of fundamental theory, neutrino physics, which is neutrinoless double beta decay, which is putting together in the experimental world small but extremely combative community of people, and it is a rather hot topic for reasons which are to do with the fact that we have many varied experimental techniques looking for that, so it's interesting, but also for a lot of reasons which we relearned about and were stressed at the theory level by motivations that Claudia and other theorists at the school gave us.
And I was also actually attending lectures myself. So I was attending the experimental lectures, which I enjoyed a lot because I learned as a theorist very much about the different aspects of an experiment, what to take care of, what is important, what are the challenges, what are the difference between the different types of experiments, which are actually sheltering for neutrinoless double beta decay. And another point which I enjoyed very much, I hope you agree with me, Giuseppe, was the presentations which we had during the school also by the students that were not only just asking us questions and discussing with us during and after lectures and was actually participating in tutorials, but they actually did little presentations themselves. So it was very nice. So I think everyone presented very nicely what she is currently doing, why it's important, how does this fit into the theme and the program of the school, and then they actually were nicely discovering kind of differences and similarities between the approaches. What are the differences and what are the aspects which are important? What are the common challenges also? Yeah.
But it was a very bottom-up approach. I think the focus was really on looking for this process and why this process would matter itself, rather than exploring many small technical details of the experiments or many small possible variations of a single theory from the theoretical point of view, and then going bottom up in the sense of trying to understand would this really be a hint of Majorana neutrinos? What could be the possibilities? And I think you, Joao, Penedo as a tutor, Davide Meloni, Valerio also as a tutor for the experimentalists, you a bit took us by hand and you sort of took us through these possible repercussions of exploring how to observe this process and also what would be the repercussions and what would be the next steps. There were also some side discussions, I think, which were interesting of what if we explored this process? Would that be the end of the story or not? All in all, we had about 21, 22 students, which was a relatively small, but still very compact and coherent group of people in the end. So also from the community point of view, that worked. The socializing was heavy. What was your impression on the spin that was given to the school?
No, I mean, I was very much surprised how much the students engaged, and it was a very, very nice experience. I mean, I really could interact as a lecturer very much with them. I got different types of questions, and it really sparked some longer discussions as well, which then went on during coffee, not only among the students, but also among us or among students and asked all together. So this was a very, very nice experience and a very nice atmosphere. I think it was really, one could see that everyone was interested and everyone really made a lot of effort to first convey their own ideas and their own messages, while the other side to perceive and understand what are the difficulties and the challenges of the other ones, and to really find a common language and to have a common understanding of the different issues and points. I learned a lot. I think the people learned a lot. Everyone enjoyed this, and I think that was one of the main ideas of this school, really to bring people from, working on the same topic, but from different sides, to really bring them together, to give them the possibility to interact, to finally ask the questions that they never dare to ask in more formal environments like conferences or workshops, where you think like, okay, everyone should know this, but I just don't know because that's not my expertise, but so I better don't ask. But so in that school, it was all, the possibility one could ask whatever you wanted to the expert you had in the room with you. And this was, I think, was really great. Really try to understand and get the idea of why theorists do this and that, and why experimentalists do this and that, or why the experimental colleagues from another experiment do this and that.
No. And I was just about to say that I think this format is interesting. It's quite also challenging for the lecturers. I was not a lecturer, but until the end, I committed the lecturers for the way they crafted the lectures, because they were really on a level where you could get a bit more technical for theorists on a theory lecture or experimentalists on an experimental lecture, but it was never too difficult in such a way to make a huge imbalance. It was the first time I had a school mixed like that. I think it's an idea which is interesting because students, PhD students, for example, they talk to each other, theorists working on theory or experimentalists, experiments at their own universities. But it's never really that kind of what's the underlying idea, but have you worked on that yourself, or it's not really in the context of work. It's more in the context of, we are all PhD students at that university, and at conferences, as you said, they are a bit too shy very often to ask questions to people from the other face of the coin. So this is an idea which I think should really be continued, I would say. What do you think?
I completely agree with you, Giuseppe. So that's a great idea. And I think it's also like you have to start doing that from early on, right? So if you are not accustomed to interact with experimentalists, in my case, with experimentalists on a daily basis, apart from, as you were saying, very informal ways or friendship-like ways, but you really try to find a common language, you try to understand the concerns and the problems of the other one, and you try to convey as much as you can your ideas and why you do actually what you do in your daily life. That's getting only harder if you grow more up, because you are getting more and more specialized, and you're probably just drifting more away from the basics and the common ideas. So I must admit, like, depending on where I stayed, I have a kind of long story of different institutes where I was working. I was working both in environments like only theory, completely isolated, where always, after some time, I felt this lack of having some experimentalists to talk to confront myself with, and not getting too crazy and too much into theory ideas that are probably extremely nice, but extremely hard to test anyway. So maybe not even more like really what we should do in our daily physics life. While seeing here people working at EFIC, where we are a heavily mixed institute of theorists and experimentalists, it's very much beneficial to confront yourself and really try to understand both sides of the coin, as we were saying, and to get as much as possible out of both of it. So yeah.
I guess we owe it, GGI, thank you for it was also a challenge for them to host a school which was on such a niche sort of topic. It's not of all big institutes which are geared towards that, to allow 2 solid weeks on a topic which in the end it's not the big mainstream, but if you don't do them at GGI, there's not many places where you can do these sort of schools. So thank you.
Yes, I completely agree. So yeah, very much thank you for having this possibility to have the school there. So, and I think it was definitely the ideal place.